And I'll turn to Jörg, who's going to present to us the main data that we have now with PASCAL.
So what do we have? We have initially the American experience from the CLASP study, the CLASP 2-year results, which are summarized here. 124 patients have been enrolled in CLASP, and we have a 2-year follow-up, which has been presented already for 48 patients. You see these kind of patients which have been treated in the initial CLASP experience on the mitral side, around 75 years old. 70% had the functional MR, 30% had degenerative MR. And what is intriguing to see is that you see in the overall cohort a very good MR reduction from grade 3 plus, 4 plus, to 77% at 30 days having an MR1 plus or trace result. And importantly, this results appears to be very, very durable. 78% at 2 years had the same MR1 plus or less result. And if you include the MR2 plus results, then we're talking even about 97% having a good reduction of MR. And this is true for functional or secondary MR, but also for primary or degenerative MR. In the worldwide commercial experience, data from Edwards internal, almost 5,000 patients have been treated on the mitral side with this device. You see here the proportions, how it has been reported, about 50% functional, 30% degenerative, and around 20% with mixed results, mixed etiologies, 99.9%, so very, very safe procedures with no interprocedural deaths or shifts to surgery, almost negligible. And also, when you're looking at the serious adverse event rate, 98.7% freedom of these severe events is very, very promising. Also, the acute results, which have been reported in the procedures, very, very promising. Again, you see this very, very high MR1 plus rate of almost 80%. Interestingly, there is a short learning curve associated with this. So you see the MR1 plus rate is going high very, very quickly. So with the first experiences on this is functional MR, here's degenerative MR or mixed etiologies, and the procedure times with a little bit experience comes down significantly. Now, what are one of the major importance? So Sheil has already mentioned a few of those. I want to show you some others. We have the opportunity that we can have an independent leaflet grasping, so we can optimize, for example, here the leaflet insertion with an optimization procedure, or we can also use the staged leaflet capture, where we're using the device where we grasp one leaflet first and the second afterwards, and this will result in an optimized leaflet insertion and with an optimized MR reduction. I'm going to show you this, just how it works really in real life. You see here the anterior leaflet is being clasped. You see the clasp is up, it's coming down, and now we can take all our focus to now try to get to the second leaflet, the posterior leaflet. You see that's pulled up the system. We can see that we have a very deep tissue insertion of the posterior leaflet. Then the leaflet is also clasped. And such technologies where we can really get the best out of it will at the end result in this very high MR1 plus rate, because this is really what we need to achieve. We should not be satisfied with an MR rate of 2 plus or more. The other important aspect, what Sushil already showed, is the nitinol design from my point of view. The flexibility of the device. Here it's shown on the tricuspid side, but you see on the right side how the device is a little bit opening with each heartbeat. So we are distributing the stress to the leaflets much more better than perhaps with a more rigid device. Does this matter, MR1 plus or 2 plus? We have an ongoing prospective registry in Germany, which will elucidate on this, but I can't share the data with you. But we have some retrospective data from the EuroSMR registry with more than 1,000 patients. And you see that those patients who had a residual MR of 1+ had a better 1 year and 2 year survival than patients who had a 2+ or even 3+ MR at the end of the procedure. So MR1 matters, and this should be the goal. We should not be satisfied, as I said before, with an MR of 2+. And these new technologies, as the PASCAL device, will help us to get there. So in conclusion, the PASCAL repair system is a different system than the other competitor. It has some advantages. The CLASP study has shown a 2-year follow-up, a very robust and durable MR reduction. We have a positive signs from remodeling, which I have not shown, and a high survival rate with a reduced annualized heart failure hospitalization rate. This is the CLASP study. In the real-world experience, almost 5,000 patients treated, high MR1+ or low MR rate of 84%. And the more you do, the better you get with your experience, as it is always the case. And this can be done very quickly in very reasonable treatment times. So she already mentioned this. There is a randomized clinical trial comparing the two devices currently, the CLASP 2D and 2F study. These two trials are still ongoing, but I'm pretty sure that we can report very soon some promising data in this regard. Thank you very much.
Jörg, we now heard the technical new features and you showed us the data. Could you try to correlate maybe them to each other more precisely? So let's get started with a spacer. How would we measure outcome of a sufficient spacer in comparison to having no spacer or flexibility? What would be the outcome parameters we would address?
Very important questions. Probably each component is interacting with the others so that we really can be able to dice out which is responsible for what is at the end difficult. Let's say, for example, if you look at SLDA rate, SLDA might be associated with the flexibility of the device, but it can also be associated with the orientation of the clasping, the hooks, more or less. It can be also associated, of course, with the imaging, and imaging between a 90-0 and a more or less cobalt chrome device might be also different. So there, I don't think that at the end we can dice out which difference is responsible for what, but those randomized comparisons will help us to understand if the two systems are really comparable, or if one system might be better than the other, or just for some indications better than the other.
Any comment on that, Sushil?
I think in the end, it's going to take time to see these results. I mean, I think in the end, it's about MR reduction. And I agree with Jörg that you got to get to 1+, especially as we treat lower risk patients, younger patients. We got to get to 1+, and that's fundamentally the issue. The rates of SLDA and all these things are really in anatomies that aren't ideal. Whether this device is better than the other in that regard it's going to be hard to sort of suss out, and we're going to have to understand, which anatomies that have theoretical advantages. But it's going to be hard to show clinically in a trial that this has one has a lower SLDA than the other. But I think it's a device that you feel comfortable in and that you think you can get in and out of a difficult case, like the one that was presented deep in a commissure with a lot of cords. Which device do you feel comfortable with is what you should use. But in terms of clinical results, I think we got to get to 1+ with whatever device people want to use. And I think that's fundamentally it. And then the valve area issue is something that we're going to have to sort of look at more closely. And that's going to take a lot of patience. But it's to try and understand that, I think, is an important thing, because I think losing valve area, especially in a lot of these borderline cases, is an important consideration. So, we can look at with data over time as we get large sort of series.
Thank you. This makes sense.